Hello and welcome to this special numerology video for a date which I think is going to be a rather interesting one this year by all accounts, which is the 24th of September 2022. So you may have seen a short video that's doing the rounds where a member of the German government made a very strange and rather cryptic announcement about this date, saying that it would be a date to remember, or that people would remember where they were on this date, which seems very odd, to be honest, and we don't have a lot of context as to what that actually means, but obviously people's imaginations are starting to run a little bit wild at the moment, and we are also coming to the end of a Shemitah year at the moment, which is part of the Jewish calendar. And if I understand correctly, it indicates a year where, agriculturally speaking, they were expected to leave the land fallow, or to not work the land. It's part of a 7-year cycle, which seems to date back quite a long way, but we're not exactly sure what the origins of it was. So it's almost like a 7th year of leaving the land fallow, which must have made it very difficult to survive. So keep that in mind when we look at this energy here, because obviously there are no coincidences in the world. There's no such thing as a coincidence. Everything is just there. All of the energy is intertwined together. Everything talks about everything else, so we can get information from all different sorts of things. So just from the offset, I'm not saying that anyone Jewish is doing anything bad here. I don't believe that at all. Okay, I'm not about to do any bashing of any nation or religion. That's not what I'm about, and I hope you know that. So we're just going to look at the energy of the 24th of September, because I was intrigued to know what could be happening on this day, what we might be able to expect on this day. So that's what we're going to look at here together. So first of all, we're going to look at the date. We're going to do a little bit of numerology, do some calculations. So we have 24, of course, which is the master builder number that we talked about in the last video, where we were actually talking about the 9-9 portal, which was 24/6 energy. So we've got 24/6, which is already in play here. We have 9, of course, which is the month. And we also have the year, which we know is a number 6 year. So first of all, I just wanted to add together the day and the month here to have a look at this number. And it gives us 33. That's very interesting. Okay, now 33 is a number we're going to be seeing a lot at the moment. Some people freak out when they see it because they're like, oh, it's the Masons, it's their number, it's a sign that the New World Order is at play or whatever. But there is a completely different side to that number as well. All numbers have a positive and a negative energy, and the positive energy of 33 is actually the Christ consciousness. Okay, that's extremely positive. That's exactly what we want. The Christ consciousness is the divine consciousness of the Christ that we are here to learn how to embody. We are here to learn how to become more like Christ. We're here to learn to ascend, to grow, to become bigger, and to embody all that we truly are, and to remember who we truly are, that we are these divine children of God, which is ultimately what Jesus's message was for us. So then let's have a look here. We have the year, which is 6. Now, there are actually 2 ways to calculate the number for a year, and when we're doing a birth chart for somebody, there are 2 ways that we do it. You can add up each individual number, or you can take the first 2 as a number, so 20, and then add the other 2. So that's 20 plus 2 plus 2. The difference here is that when you have 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2, that gives you 6, and that is what we would call the personal year number in a birth chart. Or when you take 20 plus 2 plus 2, that's the collective way number. So they're 2 different energies, one pertaining more to the individual and one pertaining more to the collective and to everybody. So I actually felt drawn to calculate both of those, and I think you'll see why, because when we calculate it as 20 plus 2 plus 2, we get 24. So look at this, we've actually got 24, 9, 24. All right, this is a mirror image. This is a mirror image in numerology. Very, very interesting, which to me indicates a moment of introspection, a moment where we can literally look in the mirror and decide what it is that we want. Do we want to ascend? Do we want to go to higher heights? Or do we want to go to the lowest of lows? So this is a very pivotal date, in my opinion. So we're just going to have a look at the numbers that we get from this. So calculating the date, we have 39, 12, 12, 3. And if we use the collective way number, we also have 57, 12, 3. Okay, So this is very interesting because we have two different numbers, 39 and 57, but they both culminate in 12-3. Again, that's a very strong pattern. This is very, very noticeable. 12 plus 12, again, 24. There are no coincidences here. Absolutely no coincidences whatsoever. There's some very, very strong number patterning coming out here. So first of all, let's have a look at 39, 12, 3. Now, I have made some notes because I spent some time actually tuning into this energy earlier to see, what I think it might bring for us. So this is more for the individual and this is more for the collective, but obviously both apply. And I mean, normally 39 is kind of a number of love. It's kind of a floaty energy. It can be quite leisurely. It's about romance, and it's quite a nice energy. But, and here's the but, the negative energy associated with 39 is fraud and deceit, and it can also be idealism. So being a little bit naive and a bit too idealistic. It can represent contracts or proposals that we really need to be examining carefully. All that glitters is not gold when you're at 39, and you do have to be very, very careful. Especially when it comes to politics, as we know, sorry politicians, but we all know that you have your own interests and you don't always work for the people, and that's just the truth. So I think we do have to be very careful on an individual level what we agree to on that day, whether we're being asked to accept a new social contract, whether we're being asked to change our lives in some way. We need to look very carefully at that individually. Now, 12 is the number of perfect governance in numerology. But when this energy is out of balance, it can be wrong use of power. It can be feeling powerless in the face of authority. 3 is the new idea. It's the DNA, the divine blueprint. It's fertility, it's possibility. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good. Bad people can use 3 energy to create what they want, just like good people can create good things with number 3 energy. So it brings in a new possibility for change, a new possibility for something new, a new blueprint. But it also refers to the DNA. Okay, so again, this literally could be about human DNA and changes there. So what I sensed here, which is quite interesting, on this 39 energy, I actually sensed that we may see the rise of some sort of new charismatic leader emerging off the back of whatever is going to happen on this date. It does feel like a date where maybe there's going to be some sort of catalyzing event. That does seem what they were hinting at. That seems to be like there's going to be something big happening that day, but they don't want to tell us what it is, but obviously it's going to be important. I feel like we may be wooed by somebody on this day, somebody making promises, making overtures, promising to make the world a better place, but who actually may not actually be all that they seem, and they have very much an agenda of what they actually want to do and what they want to change. So I would say, buyer beware, be very careful. Beware of Greek sparing gifts. It's kind of Trojan horse energy that I get here. So moving on to the collective energy, which brings us to 57, 12, 3. So 57 is the number of the empath. It's where we understand each other's, when we understand the needs and wants of other people, and we genuinely want to help them. But it can also be an energy where we have losses, where we're confused, where we feel separated, where we feel lonely. So this is something that empaths can very much struggle with, feeling like they're not a part of the world, feeling that they don't fit, that they don't belong. And we've got the mystic 7 here and the mind 5. And when you get the most negative aspects of those two numbers, that's what you're going to get. The 7 can feel like they don't belong in the world, like they're completely different to everybody else. And the 5 is the mind that can just spiral off into worry. And I think for the collective, we need to remain extremely logical on this date and afterwards. And, whatever the aftermath is of this date, whatever does or doesn't happen, we have to stay in our integrity as a group, as a nation, as a society, as a collective, as the collective on Earth. Or we could very well be manipulated into a lower vibration, which will take us further away from our true selves. And that's what I'm feeling here with this numerology. So I think the lesson from this energy that we can glean here is that we must rise above the illusion of the real world. We've got to realise that reality is an illusion. We've got to find peace and serenity within, even in the face of madness, even in the face of violence, even in the face of oppression, whatever it is that happens on this day, even in the face of somebody who seems too good to be true, who seems everything that we wished for, everything that we'd hoped for. Oh, this person's going to save us, everything's going to be okay. No, that's not the case. Only you can save you. Only you are the person that can make your life better. You are the only person that's truly in control of your being, your life, your soul's path. And we've got to remember that other people are just like us too. There's no difference. There's no separation in reality. We are all just a spark of the divine. We are all God's children. We are all an element of that great divine being having a human experience. And there is no difference other than some very silly surface level differences. So I think what we're looking at here with this energy is a very divine and a very powerful opportunity for the Great Awakening to take a leap forwards. And I think the powers that should not be, the dark forces, dark powers, whatever you want to call them, they know the potential of this date too, and they would like to use it to take a great leap forward for the New World Order. But once again, we're not going to let that happen. We're moving into the age of Aquarius. We're far more empowered than we ever have been, and I feel that the human race isn't going to fall for it, or enough of us aren't going to fall for it to make the difference. So I have pulled a few cards here. Actually, a whole clump of them fell out when I asked, and I asked my guides, do you really want me to take all 5? And they said yes. So here's what we've got here. We've got number 19, transformation. We've got 22, divine animals. So it does feel like a very transformational date. There could be a big change off the back of this date. 22 is the feet of the goddess. So again, it's that divine feminine energy coming in to help us to build, to help us to grow, to stand on our own 2 feet. And it also connects in with the Lion's Gate energy as well, which I was talking about in my Lionsgate video, which I will link above. I do recommend you watch that, or refer back to it if you haven't watched it for a while. And then the next card was 24, wellness. So we've got another 24. Okay, 24-6, the master builder. And what is it that we should be focusing on building? We should be focusing on building our wellness. Yes, individually, collectively. What is our well-being? What causes our well-being? Is it eating properly? Is it getting enough sleep? Is it being loving to one another? Is it being compassionate to one another? Finding a new way to live, a new way to coexist with each other in love, in peace, in harmony, finding the right ways to do that, to grow, to ascend. That's what true wellness is to me. Tell me what it means to you in the comments. Then we have 45, 45-9, which interestingly corresponds to the date as well, because that would be the month. Let your light shine. And it is, these cards are very similar, these two. Very similar images on here. It is about connecting with the divine self, the divine heart, the higher heart. There's always light codes coming through for us around this time. There's a lot of guidance coming through as well. And we are being reminded that we don't have to be bossed around by other people. You have an opinion too. You have a soul. You have access to that divine knowledge. You have that divine connection yourself. You can bring through the wisdom, the guidance that you need for yourself. You don't always have to defer to somebody else. You don't have to defer to an authority figure. And then lastly, we have number 9. So again, more of that 9 energy coming through, which is all about wisdom, which is all about the end of an era as well. 9 is, of course, the end of a cycle. It comes at the end of the cycle before we move on to 10. And so it does feel like a very important day, very important energy around the 24th of September, but it is all parts of our soul's journey. It does feel like this is necessary. Whatever it is that's going to happen, on some level it's needed, it's necessary, either to spur us into action, to teach us something, or to help us learn not to react to things, perhaps. You know, that might be the lesson for some people. Don't be reactionary. Stop, wait, think, consider carefully, feel into this. What is it that we truly need to do? What is it that we don't need to be doing here? So that, again, could be part of the message. Sometimes the wisest decision to do is not actually to make a decision at all. Okay, indecision is also a decision, not choosing left or right, but choosing, actually, you know what, I'm going to step back and wait and decide at a later date, or not choose at all is also a decision. So it's a day where I think there's going to be a lot of learning to be had. There's look at all the hearts on these cards. I've got 3 hearts. It is all about the divine heart. It is all about us increasing our consciousness, increasing our love for one another. I think that's very important. I think there'll be a lot of compassion and empathy coming through from this day, and I do mean from the individuals, not from the politicians. I don't expect it from them, but I feel as though the hearts of many people on earth may be united, may be joined on this day through some event. But it's very important that we do it consciously, and that we are aware that we're in an extremely powerful energy, and that we must focus on using that energy for the right thing, for our path upwards, up here, not for a path down there where we don't want to go. So it's about not allowing ourselves to be manipulated. By all means, you can be optimistic, but try not to be naively idealistic on this day. But that's just what I think. I would love to hear what you make of this energy. Of course, I don't know what's going to happen on the 24th of September. I will be making a follow-up video after the 24th if something exciting has happened. But until then, I will see you all again very soon.